My name's Susie Govert. I was elected as the Folkestone and Hythe District Councillor for New Romney in 2015. I'm just a normal person. I'm a single mum to 2 children and work part-time in a call centre. I'm definitely not a career politician. I was elected as a UKIP candidate and accidentally became involved in politics by mouthing off on local Facebook groups. Initially, it was about Lydd Airport. I was so cross that planning permission had been given for the expansion of the airport against the result of a local referendum that I phoned our UKIP county councillor at the time and told him that I would join the party and stand as a candidate if they would have me. I left UKIP earlier this year following the Henry Bolton scandal when, as leader, he left his wife and 2 young children on Christmas Eve and 2 days later publicly appeared to hook up with notorious apparent racist Joe Marnie. While usually I'd be of the opinion that someone's private life is their own business, the combination of lies, bad judgment and Henry's refusal to listen to the team around him caused me to walk away. I felt that my own reputation had been damaged by his behaviour, and I'd worked really hard since being elected to prove to my community that they'd made the right choice in electing me. There was never a dull day in UKIP, but I don't miss it. And as an independent councillor, it's a privilege to serve the people of New Romney, and I absolutely love every single minute of it. I'm just down the road from the William Harvey Hospital in Ashford at the site of the old Willsborough Hospital where I was born and lived just down the road as well. When the hospital was closed in 1979, it was left in an abandoned state for some time, and against all modern health and safety regulations and the strict instructions of our parents, me and my brothers and sister used to come and play here. It was the absolute perfect place to fuel the imagination. We used to peer through the windows and imagine we saw blood and body parts and surgical instruments and the ghosts of the people who'd died here. It's now private residential flats and an industrial estate. Although it does look much the same, it hasn't changed very much at all. I'm at County Square in Ashford Town Centre, which I remember in the 70s as being the Tufton Centre, with Tesco's in the middle, and my mum would let me go upstairs and look at the clothes, where I'd dream of having pristine white trainers instead of hideous black plimsolls. Martin's newsagent was close by, where I used to love to go and sniff the pick and mix. I remember my little brother went missing once while we were in town and was found sitting with the mannequins on the cutting-edge, revolutionary revolving display in Richard's women's shop window, waving to the crowds outside. Ashford's always looked to the future, and I worked for Ashford Borough Council briefly in the late 80s for a couple of summers, and it was identified as the growth town of the 80s. It's safe to say that promise has very much been delivered, with Ashford changing massively in that time, but County Square will always be the Tufton Centre to me. My life in Kent changed from the suburban to the rural when we moved to the tiny village of Warehorn in 1982. Warehorn's an archetypal English village with a green, a church mentioned in the Domesday Book, and a pub. It was a hidden hotbed of artistic talent where, at one point, the writer of The Railway Children, Edith Nesbit, lived. When I lived here, there was a community of artists, including Charles Newington, who was the creator of the iconic white horse carving in the North Downs, which was adopted as the logo for the then Shepway District Council, where I'm currently a serving councillor. Comedian Bob Mortimer lived here, confession time. My friend was sick on his driveway, staggering back from the pub one Christmas. We can only apologise. That's probably as exciting as Warehorn got, though, and as a teenager it was frustrating to be so isolated, and all I ever wanted to do was to move to London, where I could get beer, chocolate and cigarettes 24 hours a day. Happily, I did come to my senses eventually, though, and returned to the marsh. I'm at one of my favourite spots in New Romney, which is the tiny patch of woodland running from the end of Dunes Road through to Church Lane. It's really the only piece of woodland in the area. The path's probably about half a mile, and you can hear it, passes over the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway track. There are a couple of great spots to wave at the trains. You're never too old to wave at the little train, and it is our duty to do that for the visitors. At the end of the woodland, the path opens out with a view that takes in most aspects of the history of New Romney and the marsh. So you've got fields and agriculture with a tumble-down looker's hut, holiday camps in the distance, Dungeness Power Station and Little Chain Wind Farm and Mountfield Industrial Estate. The path ends at New Romney St Nicholas Church. I love this path because it connects the coast with the town, and I always wonder what the history of this piece of land is and haven't been able to find out, so it remains a bit of a mystery. I'm in Folkestone Harbour, the tide's coming in and the sun's coming out. My grandmother's family were from Folkestone and the surrounds, and I used to come here at weekends to visit my dad, who had a shop at the top of Tontine Street. And we used to come down to the harbour for a pint of whelks from Chummies, which appears to have gone high-end now with offerings like tiger prawn noodles and sea bass salad. Along the harbour there used to be trampolines and a paddling pool, which that space is now occupied by a piece of public art called Steve, apparently, according to the sign. And then there's Sunny Sands at the end. The Sea Link ferries used to come in and out of the harbour, and there was the rotunda, and of course the shopping mecca that was Folkestone Market. The market used to bring huge crowds to Folkestone, and that was on top of its key industries of fishing and the ferries. It did suffer quite a decline, though, and much has been invested into the town in recent years, resulting in, I suppose, what you call a visual uplift, but it's now suffering really from the effects of gentrification. So there are unaffordable house prices for locals, where local wages haven't kept pace with the house prices. This is not a problem that's exclusive to Folkestone, but I think it is particularly felt here. Where there used to be a greasy spoon, there's now a high-end restaurant, which has done more than its fair share for lifting Folkestone's profile and bringing people to the town, which has to be a good thing. You've got the Harbour Arm, which is a great day out for people, and then there are the pieces of public art which are dotted around the town and harbour, and they just seem to emphasise how much the town has changed and continues to change. And while change is good, it's not always to the benefit of local people. I do think, though, that no matter how posh Folkestone thinks it gets, I reckon you'll always be able to get a pint of whelks at Chummies.
I told you that we could fly.
If there's one band that really ties my life together, it's the Australian legends that are In Excess. I lived in Australia for a couple of years as a child, and In Excess were just coming onto the scene while I was out there, and I was 100% absolutely in love with Michael Hutchence. Later on, I was a steward at an In Excess concert at Wembley when I was a student, and as a strapping rugby player, I was put on the security gate next to the soundbox which separated the stands from the front section. And I was given strict instructions not to open this gate under any circumstances, no matter what happened. So the concert started and on came Michael Hutchence, who said, sorry, bad Australian accent coming up, hey, you's down the back, why don't you all come down the front? And cue 500 people running towards me and my gate. Security wasn't what it is now, and faced with being crushed, I opened the gate and a few hundred people got to enjoy the concert from a lot better seats than what they'd actually paid for. There's a line from the song Never Tear Us Apart which really hits home with me, and that's, we all have wings, but some of us don't know why. And I think the key to happiness in life is knowing what your wings are and how best to use them.
'Cause we all have wings.